All right. Adequate notice of the July 12, 2018 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board, Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. May I have a roll call?
On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Ferramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members present, sir.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag, and please remain standing for an opening prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we ask you that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. All right. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful presentation we'd like to make. We have excellent service clubs in Hanover Township. There's no question about it. Without them, a lot of the events that we run in this township would be very difficult to do. Hanover Township Rotary, Hanover Rotary, is one of those organizations we certainly know our Knights of Columbus do such a great deal of work for us in the community, and we're appreciative of all the help that we get, veterans organizations, etc. But at this time, we have a community service award that we'd like to award, and we have done this on occasion for some special organizations and special purposes, and we'd like to tonight to present this one to the Hanover Rotary. Hanover Rotary has done so much, not only locally but internationally as well, as you should know, and they've been such a great support to us with our youngsters here in our athletic programs. They've been great support to us in so many other programs, including most recently their attention to help us out with the community garden, the community farm that's going on here now. And they've helped us with donations of tools and equipment that the gardeners are using, and we're most appreciative of that. We have a president with us tonight from Rotary, Lauren, and what we'd like to do is, you want to read this presentation?
It reads as follows: Hanover Township Distinguished Community Service Award, presented to Hanover Rotary, a leading service organization, in grateful recognition of Hanover Rotary's outstanding commitment and faithful service to the Hanover Township community, submitted by the Township Committee, Township of Hanover, July 12, 2018. It contains the medallion of the Township and the key to Hanover Township.
There you go. They just have to find a permanent place to put it. In ShopRite?
No, look at it. Look at this. Okay. Goes in the bulletin. That's right. That away. Thank you so
much. Great organization.
Not all of
Yeah, take a picture with everybody. Yeah, I know. I'm like, take one with everybody.
Oh, that's fun. You want to do it all?
How about the committee? Nice too. Yeah. Mike.
Everybody.
We're photobombing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Wait, 2 more. Get everybody in.
all of you.
Photobombing.
Mike, you get in front.
There you go. I can't see it.
That's now, if there was a photograph, they got to join Rotary.
Yeah, you got it? Go ahead. Today's
I got it.
You good?
That's it, we're gonna go.
What do you mean? Thursday?
Thursday morning,
I'll make a little announcement. It's going to be on YouTube. I'll do that. Thursday morning show. Okay, 7:30. Sounds good. Do it again. Okay.
That was nice.
That's good. Yeah, that would be next. Okay. For the benefit of those who are going to probably catch this on YouTube, Hanover Rotary meets at the ShopRite on Hanover Avenue, and Thursday mornings at 7:30. 7:30 at ShopRite. And if you're interested in Rotary and all the programs that they do and the events that they partake in, I'm sure they'll all welcome you if you'd like to stop by, have a cup of coffee over there at ShopRite. 7:30 Thursday mornings, every Thursday morning. So give them a look. Give them a look. Okay. At this time, Mr. Administrator, where are you?
Open to the public.
All right. A motion to open the
So
public.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Sure. How you doing? Rocco Marucci, 36 Crescent Drive, Whippany. I have two things, actually. First thing is the most important thing. There's a big drainage problem on Horse Hill Road. I'm sure you're aware of it. My concern is my son goes to the Richard Blake YMCA school right there. It's not just an access problem. It's actually the water floods the road, it pops the curb, and it actually flows through the parking lot of that school. It's actually happened probably 3 times this year. I know there's a lot of development happening on Hanover Road, a lot more water coming down that way. But I think it's something that should be looked at. I'm sure the police are aware of it. I'm sure they've been there coning off the road. It happened last Tuesday. There was a lot of rain, a lot of water, so.
Where is this water coming from?
It's a low point in the road. It's actually on Horse Hill Drive, Horse Hill Road.
Yeah, at
by
Saddle Road?
Saddlebrook.
At Saddle Road.
At Saddle. It's near the intersection down there. It's a low point.
We've been having problems there with the springs under there, Jerry.
We've been having some issues from there's a stream that drains over 50 acres. It drains a lot of that Forest Hill area, that Countrywood area. But then at the intersection of Saddle Road and Horse Hill, there is a pipe capacity issue there because you have not only that section of Countrywood, then you got Hanover Avenue and from the shop right down that hill that all converges into that system there.
Yeah.
We've looked at it and we're looking at different solutions, options, but it's not a quick, easy fix.
Listen. I get it. I'm in municipal government myself.
Yeah.
Is it flooding at the base of Saddle?
It does.
Yeah. I mean, it gets so much water there that the road pops the curb. Comes over.
We just put that road in a couple of years ago too.
Which one?
Saddle Road has been
No.
resurfaced.
Saddle Road is where.
Saddle Road is up.
It's an industrial road, the dead end where.
Yeah.
Saddle Road, right? Yeah.
That's Saddle Road.
Yeah, that road's been there for a very long time, right? I mean, that's not new.
Yeah, but the mayor's saying we repaved that.
We just paved.
Oh, we repaved the road.
The road. But the issue is the
that
drainage
doesn't remedy
across.
your problem.
Oh no, I get it. I mean, it's not just an access issue, right? When the road's flooded multiple times a year, there's about 100+ kids in a school between newborn to 5 years old that are walking through a parking lot with water flowing through it. And I have videos and pictures. I could send it to you. The school, I've talked to them. If you want, they probably have more. I'll send it to you. But this has happened on a number of occasions, so definitely a high priority concern, I think.
Jury, what you guys are looking at the...
Yeah, we're aware of it. The police, yes, the police is aware of it. And yeah, it does, when you get high-intensity storms of the, over 100-year storms, that the system just can't handle the capacity. There's a capacity issue there. We're looking at different ways to try and solve that, whether it's a parallel, kind of split that drainage apart, so you have two separate systems, just to create some more capacity there.
What phase are you at now?
We're just looking into this now.
Starting with that.
Yeah. So it's
No, all right, so you'll be making a recommendation to the township
at some
committee
point.
at some point?
At some point, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so, thank you.
We have it on the radar screen, and the engineer tells me that they are going to examine it to make a recommendation to the committee, so whatever the improvement costs are, et cetera, we'll take a look at it, and we'll have to do what's necessary.
Sure, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Second thing, I just had, some of you might be aware, I actually, a few months ago, I guess there was a vacancy on the zoning board, and I actually put my resume in with an application. I haven't heard anything back. I know there's probably multiple applicants. I didn't know the process, like what happens.
Application.
Well, Mr. Marucci, as I said to you in my letter, your application was submitted to the Township Committee for their review, and if the Township Committee wanted you to come in for an interview, we would let you know.
Okay.
So, and that's where we're at this point.
Okay. Because I saw there were a couple interviews today. I figured I brought my calendar. I could, schedule something too, if you'd like. Be more than happy to volunteer my time. So, I didn't know where you were. I didn't know how many applicants you get. I don't know the process, so.
The contact would come through the administrator, so if the township committee wants to interview or bring you in for discussion and interview, you'll get a letter from the administrator.
But do you interview everyone, or you just interview whoever you select? I guess that's my question.
I think it's up to the Township Committee to decide who they want to interview. So just because you submit a resume, and this is policy, it's a long-standing policy, it's up to the governing body to decide who they want to interview.
Okay.
So it's not automatic.
So you could just put a resume in and just not get an interview?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry if I sound dumb. Every town acts differently, and I'm just trying to figure out the process and, see where I stood with that.
It's a legitimate question.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? The floor is still open. Skaggs, how you been?
I've been all right. How you doing?
I'm glad you dressed for tonight, but that's...
I did. I got dressed up for you. John Scagliosi, 8 Lionel Place, Whippany. Lived in town 58 years. I was here about a year ago concerning the brickyard cleanup, and Phase 1 went really good. We got it done. Meet Dave Leo, Ruckers, Brian Ferran, Brian Pillion. But now I'm worried about what you guys are jumping to with the boat thing, and the brickyards I don't think are ready to put boats in there because the cleanup in the back is outrageous blowdowns. I mean, there's so many trees down there. Brian Pillion had the arborist down there, I think it was Thursday, and he only took 10 steps down there, and he said it was a disaster. I mean, there's so many blowdowns back there you cannot access around the pond. Some of the trees are leaning like this, and they're dangerous. They're still up hanging in other trees, and they're all oaks, and they're taking down from the roots. They're blowing right out of the system along, the whole stretch of the ponds. You need a professional tree service in there with skidders to clean this up, the ponds. And then I seen the sign yesterday about you wanting to put boats in the first pond. I think we're jumping the gun a little bit on the boat thing. I think we ought to take steps at a time. Like, we took the first step to clean it up, to clean the front pond up and the road so people can fish there and access it again. Well, now I think we ought to take the next step into cleaning it up so you can actually access the ponds if something happens. There's no way to access the ponds to even put a boat in there or rescue.
You're talking about the back or the front?
I'm talking about the front, the back, the side. I'm talking about everything.
Front. I thought the front was clear. Anybody else see otherwise?
Well, where are you going to put a boat in the front?
Right in through the ramp.
Where's the ramp?
You know where the ramp is. You showed us maybe.
It's overgrown. You can't access the second pond because it's overgrown.
There's no boating in the second pond yet. Or third.
There was boating in the second and third all this time, and now there's no boating in the second or third?
Right, because the police had concerns about the access getting back.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. How are you going to access?
So you shouldn't be boating in the second and third pond. If you do see that, then contact the police.
Well, I'm not going to contact anybody, but there's always been the kayaks or boating. It's always been legal to boat in the second and third pond, but not in the first pond.
Well, now it's been reversed. We're boating in the front.
Now it's been reversed. Well, who reversed it, and how come the public don't know about it?
We did, it was
Yeah,
discussed
well-
at several meetings, I even talked to you about it.
Yeah, well, you never got back to me on it, you
I
know what I
did.
mean? No, you didn't. You know,
Okay.
I did all the legwork myself on this, you know? And I'm just trying to tell you that
No, and you did a great
you're
job.
rushing,
It
you're
looks terrific.
rushing something that has to be manicured. Have you even taken a walk back there? Has anybody ever been back there to see what I'm talking about?
Well, boating was always allowed on the ponds. I mean, it never was a point of not. We had a tragic accident, as you know,
I know, I was
some
there
years
the day
ago.
it happened.
But allowing boating on the pond was never rescinded. And I think what Committeeman Mahalko is talking about is most recently, the Recreation Department came back in with now regulations on the kinds of boating or the kinds of boats that would be used on the pond. These are in the way of kayaks or smaller skiff-type boats, things of that nature. Now, you're talking about access to get those boats onto the pond. That's what you're concerned
Right, I'm
with.
talking about cleaning it up first, and then moving to the step. I think you're jumping the gun a little bit. I'm not here to argue about the boats. And then I think, how many boats do you think you're going to put in there? You know what I mean? It's only so big. You can only allow 3 or 4 boats in there at a time. I mean, you want to open it up to the public? That's letting. I
Well,
mean,
there is a registration required, but as far as the amount of boats on the pond, I think that's going to be something that Recreation is going to have to deal with, how they regulate that. I don't think it's going to turn into Barnegat Bay, let's put it that way, but
It's only so big.
one never knows,
But it's only so big. I think we're making a mistake. In my opinion, I lived here 58 years. I've been down there. I clean the brickyards up. I'm down there every day. I put garbage cans down there. I got 3 of them down there. I go down there every 3 days. I empty them, and I bring them up to the town, and I dump them. I do a lot of work down there, and I think being left alone was good. Now we're going to open it up to out-of-towners and open it up to all this stuff, and it's going to cause a problem, I think, in the long run. Because I don't think the ponds are ready for this right now, because there's so much work to do before we get to this point. I think you ought to all take a walk back there and actually see what's back there and see what's going on. You know what I mean? Just by telling you, once you see it, you'll be like, can you believe it? Let go of this. From Sandy, there's still stuff down there from Sandy. It's never been cleaned up. It's
Mike, you
still
wanna-
there.
Let's approach it from a standpoint. Do you want to recommend to the Recreation Commission to have a
Well, we'll talk
team
to
out-
Brian, we'll take
Take a team out there and
we'll
take
talk
a
to Brian
look
about
at
it
what
and
Skaggs
get
is
his
doing.
opinion. Again, the back ponds are closed to boating, the front pond is open. I haven't seen anything that was an issue, but again, we certainly don't want any danger there.
Well, how come the back ponds are closed now?
Again, because of the access, the police weren't satisfied with the access of getting
It's
back
easier
there.
to get to the third pond than it is to the first pond. You take the road back there, you could drive right to the third pond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with you, but until we can get them to agree that the access is adequate, they asked to keep it closed.
And then another, how many
Second
boats you
thing.
think you're going to be allowed to put
Well,
in
so
there?
far, we have the registration out. You do need to register your boat. We have one. If it gets out of hand, then we're going to have to address it, but I don't see that
We
being...
get 2, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you get 3, you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah, I
You
think
can
the front
sit there
pond
and
could
laugh
certainly
all you
handle
want,
3.
but it's going to be a problem.
I think
We hope
we're-
it's not.
I think we're
Yeah,
with
it
you.
is.
It's a
Let's-
problem already?
Yeah, it's
Give-
going to
give
be
us
a
a-
problem.
It's going to be a problem. Well, then we're going to have to address the problem. So you're saying close it off so we don't have a problem
I
that
say
may or may not arise.
leave it the way it was for the last 100 years. What's wrong with the brickyards the way it was? Why mess with it? Why open a dog that you don't have to open here? People
Oh, a beautiful
use it
resource. I
all the
think we
time.
should use it.
People use it all the time. People bike back there. People
Yeah.
walk back there.
Okay.
They use it. And why? Well, now you want to let out-of-towners boat there. You're going
No,
to.
they've always been allowed in.
It says residents only. The
Well,
town's
the sign
residents
is
only.
incorrect.
Oh, now it's incorrect, right?
It has been incorrect. You know that.
Why?
We talked about it.
No, I don't. It's private property.
Okay.
You want to sit there, you want to change things, but you're not ready to change things yet. You don't know what the issues are back there yet to change them. You want to rush into everything, but you don't want to.
I'll talk to
want to
Brian.
take the steps
And we'll
first.
take,
But,
Brian,
in
we'll go back to-
fairness to this conversation, there has been a lot of interest in people thinking that they could not boat on the ponds over the years.
The
But
first
there's been a
pond,
lot
right.
of interest, I know through my office alone, people wanting to use the ponds. It's a recreational amenity that Hanover should have, that, we want to allow them. We want them to vote safely, and they've looked at that from the standpoint of the kinds of no power, no sale, but they do want them to have access to the water. So I think if recreation gets out there, if there are matters around the pond with this vegetation or trees, etc., then maybe get with Brian and a group from Parks to take a look at it and see, maybe walk with Skaggs. Maybe you guys want to go out together and you want to point it out.
I agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
In the back, there are trees that need to be addressed.
There's so many, the last storm about a month and a half ago, there's like 8 trees that fell in the water that are blocking the coves in there now.
Okay.
So you can't access the coves anymore back there because the trees are all over the place. I mean, there's major damage back there.
You want to coordinate with the Skaggs?
Yeah, I will definitely talk to Brian.
I mean, I'd like to take you guys back there and show you what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know if you ever been back there. Have you ever been? Any of you ever been back there? Gage, have you been back there?
I'd like to go for a tour with you guys also.
Yeah, I mean, you do one school day at a time. We could do, one day at the park. You know what I'm saying? You have to come back there and give me your opinion because you deal with the tree guys. Your opinion would be helpful in this situation.
I'd like to take a walk with you guys because I talk to Brian at least twice a day. I talk to Mike quite a bit. We'll take a walk back there and look at it. And like you said, even with the skidders, I work with one outfit that deals with skidders every day, all day long. Most of the companies around here don't have them and don't operate them. But it is a different animal. The storm damage are a lot of money, and typically the access is terrible, so you need a skidder. But I'd like to schedule a walkthrough. I know you've been doing this for a long time. I know you understand my industry.
Right.
You've been in it. Let's schedule a walk, Skaggs. We'll go back there.
You guys, I think we ought to clean it up so we can access it, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Not arguing here with you. I think we ought to clean it up more so you can definitely see the ponds more and access it more in case something did happen. We can get in there, and even you guys get a drone and put a drone in the air up there. You let the cops get a drone and use a drone in that areas. That you can't access. You know what I'm saying? That's a thing, too, that we can't see. Some of the places back there, if people are back there, we can access it without going back there.
Right.
That's another thing, too. It saves a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of people getting hurt. Put the drone in the air and access it by that, too, with a camera. You could do that from B Meadow School and access. You can access it from here. You know what I mean? And do it from surveillance that way, too. But I'm not here to argue. I'm here to say I think we ought to have to clean it up more. It's put the boats.
We can go quite a while on this.
All right, I'm done.
Why don't you get together with Mr. Mahalko, with Committeeman Mahalko? You guys are going to work it out. You're going to get out there. You'll make a recommendation to Mike will make a recommendation to his recreation commissions of what has to be done or not, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Try and do what we can do. Okay. We're on it.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
All right. Thank you, John. Floor is still open. Anyone like to address the Township Committee at this time? None? Motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, we'll let the Rotary escape. All right, have a good week. Take care, guys. All right, have a good weekend. Marco, take care.
Happy birthday, Mr. Sino. Happy birthday to you.
Big 5-0.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular meeting minutes of June 14th, 2018. May we have a motion for approval? We have a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. And we have the following departmental reports that have been submitted to my office, and they are available for public inspection. We have 3 reports from the Township Engineer on capital project status reports dated May 24th, June 14th, and July 12th. The Superintendent of Public Works, Buildings and Grounds, and Park Maintenance has submitted his reports on all activities conducted by the department during the month of June and also May. The Township's Chief Municipal Finance Officer, serving also as the Treasurer, has submitted his report of budget revenues as of June the 11th and also July the 10th. The construction official has submitted his construction activity report for the month of May, and the final report is submitted by the property maintenance officer for all activities conducted by the Property Maintenance Bureau as of the 12th, as of today, July the 12th. And all those reports are available for public inspection in the Office of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk. And ladies and gentlemen, we continue now. We have one ordinance for consideration of adoption and public hearing. It's docketed as ordinance number 16-2018. It's an ordinance of the Township Committee authorizing the purchase of one new model 255 XP Brush Bandit chipper through a contract awarded by the National Joint Powers Alliance Cooperative Purchasing Program, all in accordance with state statute at NJSA 52:34-6.23, and the ordinance further appropriates the sum of $60,000 from the unallocated account of the Township's 2018 Capital Improvement Fund and all prior years for the financing of the chipper's acquisition. We have the proof of publication that the ordinance and the notice of adoption appeared in full in the June 20th issue of the Daily Record. So at this time, gentlemen, may we have a motion to convene the public hearing?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Gallagher, seconded by Mr. Ferramaska. On roll call for public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Is there anyone present in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance number 16-2018? Seeing none, hearing none, may we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Ferramaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call to close the public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, we'll move on adoption. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover authorizing the purchase of one new model 255 XP Brush Bandit chipper through a contract awarded by the National Joint Powers Alliance Cooperative Purchasing Program, all in accordance with state statute at NJSA 52:34-6.23, and further appropriating the sum of $60,000 from the unallocated account of the Township's 2018 Capital Improvement Fund and all prior years for the financing of the acquisition be adopted at this time. So may we have a motion at this time for adoption?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gallagher, seconded by Mr. Ferramaska. On roll call for adoption, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska. Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So adopted unanimously.
Ron, can I make a comment about this one?
By all means.
I'd just like to comment on this one a little bit. We all know that our trees aren't getting any younger, and they're certainly not getting stronger. And with these storms that have been coming through, we've had quite a bit of problems with chipping and hauling away debris and bundling. And I just want you to know the township is absolutely moving in the right direction, but we do have to prioritize because we only have a finite amount of money. And this is just a big step in being able to serve Hanover Township better. So we're really excited about doing this. And there's going to be more to come with us being able to serve in this area. So thank you, guys. Thanks for the support.
Okay, we'll also note for the record that the notice of adoption of this ordinance will be published in the July 18th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a consent agenda for 4 ordinances on introduction, and I'll just read those titles on introduction and the date for the public hearing. So the first is will be ordinance number 17-2018. It amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township entitled Land Use and Development Legislation by amending the regulations for outdoor storage for non-residential uses. That's ordinance number 17. Ordinance number 18 amends Chapter 117 of the Code of the Township entitled Dogs and Other Animals to establish the position of Municipal Humane Law Enforcement Officer, which is in accordance with a new state statute, and amends the position of an Animal Control Officer. Ordinance number 19-2018 amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township entitled Land Use and Development Legislation by amending and adopting various definitions and regulations pertaining to front, side, and rear yards, lot frontage, and lot width. And Ordinance 20-2018 amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code of the Township, also a Land Use and Development Legislation amendment, by amending the regulations for signage in the office and industrial zone districts. Now, all of these ordinances, the 4 ordinances, will be heard for public hearing and final passage here in the main meeting room at the Municipal Building on August the 9th at 8:30 p.m. And at that time, any member of the public wishing to be heard on any of the 4 ordinances will be given the opportunity to speak. All 4 ordinances will be published in full with their respective notices of introduction in the July 18th issue of the Daily Record, once again in accordance with law. So on the consent agenda for the 4 resolutions for public hearing on the 9th of August, may we have a motion for introduction on all 4?
Any discussion on any of these at this time? No discussion? Fine.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Gallagher. We have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Faramasca on roll call as a consent agenda for ordinances 17, 18, 19, and 20. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we continue with resolutions also as a consent agenda. And we do have one additional resolution that was discussed during the closed executive session and legal conference. So it will be added to the consent agenda, and I will read that title into the record. It's a resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover suspending the option to sell affordable housing units as market rate units at the expiration of the original deed restriction against such sale and extending affordable housing controls. So that is an additional resolution in addition to resolutions A through N, which appear on your formal agenda. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of those resolutions?
Move they be approved.
We have
Second.
a motion by Mr. Faramasca for approval and a second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for approval of the resolutions as a consent agenda, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now continue with the payment of bills. Total amount for payment of our bills this evening, $6,202,907.75.
Wow.
May we have a motion to pay our bills?
Motion?
We have a motion by Mr. Cahill, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for approval of the bills, payment of bills, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
We have raffle applications for review and approval, and we have one late item. In addition to the 3 that appear on the agenda, the fourth application is raffle application 3129. It's St. John the Baptist Ukrainian Catholic Church, and it's care of the Hanover Township Little League, located at 158 Ridgedale Avenue in Cedar Knolls. Do we have any questions concerning any of the raffle applications?
No, move they be approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Faramasca to approve
Second.
the 4 raffle applications, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Raffle applications are approved. Mr. Chairman, Members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the
Thank you,
Township
Joe.
Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Once again, gentlemen, we want to open the floor. Any items to be discussed? A motion to open? So moved. All in favor? Aye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the floor is open. If you'd like to address the Township Committee at this time, you can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Hearing none, seeing none, motion to close.
Oh,
All in favor?
hold on.
One person. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm looking down here. I'm looking up. Okay. Sure, go ahead.
Honorable Mayor, council members, my name is Ted Lestrange. I'm not a resident of Hanover, and I don't have good news, but it's not to the detriment of Hanover. I'm entitled as Genocide by Scalpel, because that's a title given by one of the investigators into forced organ harvesting in China. Their updated research concludes that China's hospitals transplant between 60,000 and 100,000 vital human body organs each year. But China has no real organ donation program. Here in the US, with the most sophisticated organ transplant system in the world, a patient can wait 2 to 3 years for a matching organ to become available. In China, however, the waiting time is measured in weeks. An organ transplant tourist to China, including one from Hanover, can arrange a specific date for their operation, which effectively means that someone to be killed on their behalf on that date. It's a cultural taboo to donate one's organs after death in China. So what's the source of all these organs? Translation of these facts, unfortunately, equates to tens of thousands of prisoners of conscience each year being killed for their organs. Most of these prisoners of conscience are Falun Gong practitioners, but also Tibetans, Uyghurs, and Hus Christians. They are routinely blood tested and organs examined while held in China's forced labor camps, detention centers, and black jails. I have a quote. On June 13th, 2016, the US House of Representatives unanimously passed Resolution 343, which in its summary section, quote, condemns the practice of state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting in China, close quote. The European Parliament has also passed similar regulations. This has been happening for over 19 years. That there is a deathly silence on this issue. And that is why I come before you, the elected and respected representatives of the community, to echo the heavy burden of this genocide as acknowledged by the House. China's total control of its own media and way beyond that, so it comes down to this type of word of mouth to divulge what's happening. Many dedicated researchers have gathered an enormous amount of data from current and archived hospital websites, medical journals, local media reports, telephone surveys, and other evidence of the 865 hospitals in China that have performed these organ transplants. Some books are now being written and documentaries have been produced with more comprehensive information. So I brought along a package material for your kind attention.
Sir, could you give us your name again for the record?
Ted Lestrange.
And do you have an address? Because we
Sorry,
usually...
43 Prospect Hill Road, Cutterbackville, that's upstate New York.
Thank you.
It's on here as well.
Thank you.
Shall I?
You present them to the administrator.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Very good. The floor remains open. No further comments. Motion to close.
Motion.
Second favor?
Aye.
All right, gentlemen. Mr. Gallagher.
I'm going to begin with a common theme for tonight because I'm sure each committeeman will touch on it, but the fireworks. The fireworks were a great success. Having them right here, closing down the road, it was great. Yeah, I don't think it could have been better. I don't think people could have had more fun. I think we all felt like a bunch of kids, but the teamwork was phenomenal. The DPW, the police department, the rec department, the fire department. So it was everybody working together, hand in glove, and you know what? Everybody had a great time, everybody was safe, and most importantly, the children had a really good time. And I don't want to fast forward my life, but I look forward to events like that all the time, including the Memorial Day Parade, which comes and goes too fast. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that worked so hard to make it a success. It was a great time. I posted the grand finale on Facebook. It got 2,300 views. People that couldn't make it. So that was a lot of fun, Mike, and thank you, and great job to everybody.
Very nice. Very good.
DPW. I just want to say that we completed our spring sports season, and once again, our fields were beautiful, second to none, these fields. Clean, dragged, cut, lined, parking lots are immaculate. Just very, very happy about the way our fields look all the time. We all go to a lot of fields in a lot of towns, and although we're friends with a lot of surrounding communities, I'll put our fields and our guys up against anybody. Beautiful job. Now we're in summer sports, and that means the same teams are still working at the pool, they're working at camps, they're working for all different setups, even the duck race with the Rotary that was just in here. DPW's down here, they got their fingerprints on everything. I just want to also just itemize a couple more things that they've done too. With the storm basins, the rebuilding, they're involved in a lot of the construction and the paving of the streets and the patching of the streets, because we do a lot of that in-house. Each year they probably rebuild up to 100, which is very good and very aggressive, and we do save a lot of money by doing that in-house. I can go on, but I don't think I will, but I have one quote from Mr. Wasco, our superintendent, and I tell him every year he's wrong, but I think he's right. He always says once 4th of July comes, the summer flies. Because you look forward to the summer, you look forward to the summer, then the summer's here, and then all of a sudden in August you see back to school everywhere. I want to slow it down a little bit and enjoy every day. So guys, I hope we have a nice, long, happy summer with a lot of great events and not too much food, because at this age, every time we eat a lot, we're always at some gym on an elliptical or a treadmill, and we're trying to put that thing up to 4.5 or 5. But that's it for me. I just want to say thank you, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their summer. And great teamwork once again by everybody in Hanover Township. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ace, very much. John?
Okay, it's all about the roads. North Jefferson Road is taking longer than anybody in this room wants it to take place. Weather has not been kind. Paving roads at 100 degrees really doesn't work. Torrential rains really doesn't work. With that said, the good news is milling and paving now is underway, and the plan is for it to be done by next Friday. We can't wait for that to happen. We thank you for your patience, because we know this is a significant inconvenience to people who live and work in Hanover Township. Valley Forge Drive is done. Cross Road is done. Locust is up next in the end of July. So moving on from roads, Planning Board. The Planning Board issued approval for a new Kiddie Academy Care Facility on Ridgedale Avenue. This will be adjacent to the Cedar Knolls Mall. EDAC, big news with EDAC. Hanover welcomed this week the arrival of opening of Barclays Bank to the community. This will serve as Barclays' North American headquarters operation. This is one of 7 that will be built globally, and we're one of the first, quite frankly. This is a major redevelopment initiative wherein Barclays Bank, this global financial leader, has decided and has completely transformed an old, outdated Bear Stearns site, which had been partially occupied at best for almost the past 10 years. So it's a real good economic development news for Hanover Township. The Environmental Commission. The Environmental Commission would like to express their perspective regarding a law that's being advanced at the state level. And their specific issue is the governor is advancing legislation to ban all plastic and recyclable bags. The Environmental Commission questions whether this legislation should continue as is or amend the legislation to eliminate recycled bags. Those brown bags, their petition is let's eliminate that from the ban which the legislation currently is advancing. Lastly, streetlight appeal. It'll be quick. If you see a street light's out, please go to our township website, click on the JCP&L link, and notify them of the address where the light is out, or call our police department on the dispatch line, not the emergency line, at 973-428-2512 to report the location of where that light is out. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Very good. Committeeman Cahill.
Thank you. Very short report today, just two topics that I'd like to share. First, just to back up a couple of months. A couple of months ago, we had a meeting with the school superintendent, K-8 school superintendent, and we discussed a very important topic, that being protection of the schools. And we came to the conclusion that we should probably follow suit with what all of the surrounding communities are doing around us by hiring someone who's called Class 3 police officers to protect our schools. So with that said, we actually did that last month, but I'd just like to take an opportunity now to welcome our newest members to the Hanover Township Police Department. They are Antoine Atme, Dominic Mancini, Timothy Franks, and John Kamer. As I said, they're Class 3 officers. They'll be assigned to the K-8 schools. Just by definition, Class 3 officers are recently retired. There's some regulations as far as how long they can be retired before they join. They have full police powers going to and from the schools they're assigned to and while they are in the schools. So we're very happy to have them. They'll be starting when the schools open up again this year in the fall, when summer is over, Ace, and we're looking forward to getting them on board. Also, along the lines of the police department, we also have a new civilian dispatcher. His name is Joseph DeFinis. He began working with us in the middle of June. So I just want to wish all of them the best of luck and moving forward, and welcome to Hanover Township. The other big news was the Landmark Commission event. On the 4th of July, the Township Commission, the Landmark Commission, hosted a tour of the Whippany Burying Yard. Dressed in period clothing, Don Cadu, Landmark Commission members, and volunteers guided what I would estimate to be close to 100 visitors around the burying yard and shared, many details and a lot of really fascinating stories about those that are buried in what is the oldest cemetery in Morris County. It was very hot that day. These folks that were dressed in period clothing, I don't know how they did it. John and Ron, I mean, we were sweating bullets, but somehow they maintained their cool, if you will, and did a fantastic job conducting the tour for that high number of people. There's also been a lot of media activity around the burying yard as well. Our own Hanover Eagle published a front page report about the tour in late June. The Daily Record actually had a reporter, a photographer on site, and the next day they also did a front page article in the Daily Record. And lastly, New Jersey 12 News recently aired a piece they had filmed at the burying yard on June 6th. I did watch it. You can do an easy search on nj12.com and just search for Whippany Burying Yard and the video will come up. But a lot of activity around that and more to come. So that's my report.
Very good. Thank you very much. Very good. Committeeman Mahalko.
Rec department is in full swing. Lots of things are going on. We had, like Ace had said, the fireworks were terrific this year. The company was great. The night was beautiful. Food trucks. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people came out. It was a wonderful event. I was glad to be there, and it went off without a hitch. Again, kudos to the rec department and DPW for getting everything going, and obviously the police and fire, again, all working hand in hand as they always do. Summer concert series. We started off this Monday night that just passed with Jersey Sound. It'll be for the next 3 more Monday nights, beginning at 7:30 at the Brickyard Field. So come on out. We had some really good music. It was a beautiful night. Kids were playing. We had a nice time. Again, 3 more nights coming up, 3 more consecutive Monday nights. Also, to tail back on, piggyback on what Ace had said, the Brickyard Field was like a carpet. It is beautiful. DPW did an incredible job. It's got to be one of the best fields in the county. It truly is, and all of them for that matter. Again, my daughter playing softball, which they actually just won the sectionals tonight and are heading to the States next week. That's the U12 softball.
That's where your phone was going.
That's where my phone was going up. So I wasn't being rude. I was getting the updates.
I understand.
They won, I believe it was 9-2. So they'll be advancing forward. And several other teams are going forward to the States also. But again, the fields were in great shape. DPW does a great job, rec, hand in hand. Terrific job. Summer camps are going along smoothly. One camp in particular, the drama camp, concludes this week. as in tomorrow, 7 p.m., they have a production with songs from Annie, which is open to the public, 7 p.m. at the Rec Center, and then another on Saturday at 2 p.m. Tickets are $5, and you can buy them at the door. So again, that's tomorrow and Saturday at the Rec Center. On my list of things to discuss is the boating ordinance that was changed, and we have improved the safety, the accessibility. There's registration required now. There are life vests that are required now, and a few other rules and laws that keep it safe. First Pond is open, and we've had some people out there boating. Be sure to register your boats, though. You do need to check in with the rec department. There are some registration fee that you need to fill out. It's $25 for residents, $50 for non-residents. And again, you need to have a driver's license, phone number, make of the boat, picture of the boat, serial number on the hull on the boat. So there are things, really, we tightened up the rules, we tightened things up, and again, Mr. Scagliosi has a good point. We do need to focus on the back half of the ponds now, since the first part are open. One last thing I want to remind everyone, Hanover Township Day is coming sooner than you think, September 8th, 1 to 5 at Malapartis Park. Put it on your calendars. Rain date of the 9th. So again, mark it down. It's always a great day. The town comes out. Again, thousands of people. It's great to see everybody coming out.
Michael, thank you.
As submitted.
Just got one I want to tag on to the summer concerts that Mr. Mahalko just reviewed with you. If you're coming out to the summer concert series, and we hope to see you there, please consider bringing some canned food with you as a donation, and you can drop that off with the Knights of Columbus, who will be manning a table, and all of that food raised will be brought to the community food bank.
No, it's a good.
Yes, thank you for
very good point. Yeah, very good. It was a nice evening, by the way. It was
beautiful evening. The concession stand is open. The bathrooms are open.
The bathrooms are
the scouts were there selling snacks, and a lot of sponsors are there too. And it's important to patronize the sponsors. They really do help us out. Really defray the cost.
That is so.
Wegmans was very generous this year, being the title sponsor, giving us a very nice donation to help bring these bands in.
Without them, we'd have a difficult time with the concert series. Sure. So we do thank all those sponsors, and you're right. Wegmans is one of them, and there's probably a dozen more, including Morristown Airport, etc. The Education Association. I should go on and on. I'm sure I'm missing a lot, but
there's
quite a few that made the concerts possible. So we really appreciate it. Once again, praise to the Recreation Department and our Public Works Department, our service clubs, etc. all made the fireworks a great success, and they really were. I mean, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful night. Did a great job on that, so really appreciate it. The Board of Health met, as it usually does, this past Wednesday night. Had several discussions. One that we're focusing on right now, and we're working in conjunction with the schools, is that the state has taken away funding for school lunch programs. That affects Hanover Township. So some might say, well, what's our big concern here? Affluent communities such as Hanover, we do have many youngsters here in Hanover Township that depend on school lunches. We will be reaching out along with Superintendent Moscow to have a discussion on what we can mutually do, both from education standpoint and municipal standpoint, if that funding has to be made up in some fashion. I assure you we're not going to let any child go without food in our schools. So that's been a point of discussion for the Health Department this past. Once again, the Health Department is working on a complete series of topics for you. We are going to have a link to the Hanover Township website to the Health Department. They're still working on these, but I can give you a little primer on these things, and there are going to be various links on matters such as Lyme disease. There will be notifications, review of your medications, food safety programs during the summer months, staying healthy and safe with swimming, mosquito control, etc. They will have a blog if you have questions regarding health concerns on a municipal level that they'll respond to. Issues that we have with ticks, the opioid addiction information resource is a great area on this as well, and it's one that we're keeping an eye on, including vaping, which seems to be the trendy thing now in schools and with our youngsters and our oldsters for that matter, I might say that. So again, I direct you, as I do with most of our activities, to the Hanover Township website, and you can link to the health department to learn more about that as we go on. The community farm, no great news, I should strike that word, no new news. It's doing very, very well. Some 80 gardeners, and the gardens are in full bloom. There's still opportunities if you want gardens to take one on, and it's still not too late if you want to do some planting, and you could do that by contacting the Recreation Department. Denise Brennan will see that you get a registration to take a garden out. It's $25 for a 4x16 garden area. It's fantastic. Township has provided topsoil and mulch and all of the other irrigation needs that you would have to grow some great plants and tomatoes, so take advantage of it there. Any other comment from the committee at this time? None? Having said, okay, motion to close.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Motion for adjourn? Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okey-dokey. What was this gentleman all about here? Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can